We're joined here in studio by the founder and chairman of Parish Catalyst. He's also the author with Michael Novak of Living the Call, an introduction to the lay vocation. But he's here to talk about his new book, Great Catholic Parishes, A Living Mosaic. Welcome to Conversation with Cardinal Dolan, William E. Simon Jr. Welcome, Bill Simon.
Thank you, Father
How are you?
I'm great.
How are you, Bill?
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Your Eminence, thank you for having me.
Am I correct, Bill? You got to answer this. Is this kind of becoming almost a new genre? There are so many excellent books out on what you might call the revival of Catholic faith, the revival of parishes. You mentioned a lot of them in here. This is one of the great books, Great Catholic Parishes, that document that. What do you attribute that to? I don't remember in our history, say 20 years ago, books coming out on reviving the faith or winning people back or regenerating a parish. What's motivating all this?
You know, I think honestly there are a number of different motivations. And you're right, there's a number of different people, number of different groups that are now focusing on the parish. So yesterday I was talking to Father Michael White.
Sure, down in Baltimore.
Who wrote Rebuilt.
Yep.
He
Matthew
came out,
Kelly, I'm thinking of.
And Matthew Kelly as well, and he's a friend. Okay. We've all gotten to know each other. We all do
a
little
union or what? Is it...
No, me? I stay away from unions.
I know your family.
But I think in my case, I was tired of the public narrative about the Catholic Church. You know, I ran for governor of California, and as a conservative Republican, I was used to getting hit by the LA Times and other papers. And I realized that they don't often tell the whole story. And I felt that the public narrative on the Catholic Church is very negative. So with my friend Michael Novak, I wrote a book, Living the Call, that focused on the wonderful opportunities for lay people. And then that led me to think about parish life, because my wife Cindy and I raised 4 kids basically at St. Monica's Church in California. And so when you say, why did I focus on it? Well, we watched how St. Monica's profoundly impacted our family.
Thank you for that, Bill, because this is what, now I'm 66 years old, all right? When I think back, and I'm not some hopeless romantic or some retrograde thinking back, but I'm so grateful for the role my parish played in my spiritual development, Holy Infant Parish in Baldwin, Missouri. It was the center, sure, of prayer and worship, but it was the center of education, because a great school, was the center of social life. That's where my folks would go for the dance, or there was the center of athletic life.
Absolutely.
It was just the center of our lives, and it was warm, inviting, vibrant. It was our home. And I sometimes worry that's gone. You're saying it's not.
It's not gone. And so I think we have to have a narrative that says there are many vibrant Catholic parishes all over this country. So the 244 that we identified are from every single state, all across the country. And they're different. You know, they have different sources of vibrancy. But as you've said, Your Eminence, and as you were nice enough to put in your forward, when you were ordained, where did you celebrate it? At Holy Infant.
At Holy Infant in Baldwin. That's everything I am. And I had to say that very often, Father Davis heard me say this, one of my goals as I reflect on my own priesthood and now as a bishop and a cardinal is try to recreate that environment of welcome and faith and joy, cohesion that I found in my parish. That's what we all have to be. The bingo moment in your book, of course, Bill, is that you're telling people the secrets of those successful parishes. I think you've got it down to 4, don't you?
Absolutely. We got it down to 4. There's leadership. There's what we call the Sunday experience. There's spiritual formation and discipleship. And then the 4th, evangelization.
Can you go through each of them a little bit?
Absolutely.
Leadership.
Let me, if I could, Your Eminence, just say what led to, these 4 themes was research over 2 years involving interviews with 244 pastors.
Yeah, how'd you find the 240?
It was through an academically rigorous technique called snowball sampling. What that means in essence is I call you or Eileen Mulcahy in your office or Father Dave, and I say, tell us who are some of the vibrant parishes in your area. And so as a result of that technique, we came up with...
It's anecdotal, but it's reliable.
It's anecdotal, academically solid.
Okay.
And recognized in the fields of sociology, anthropology, and political science. And so we then taped the interviews with the pastor's permission. We had a 32-question protocol, transcribed the interviews. We had over 3,600 pages of transcripts. We spent a year analyzing that. And it was that analysis that led to 49
kind of
findings.
A geographic sampling around the United States?
Geographic sampling. that mirrored the demographics of the Catholic Church.
Do you find, Bill, let me ask you, and I don't want to miss the 4 points. I want to hear Bill talk about that. Do you find a divide between so-called liberal parishes, conservative parishes? Is that part of the conversation? Is that good or bad?
You know, I think there's definitely, I don't know if I'd characterize it as a divide. I would say there's different approaches.
Approaches, styles, techniques?
Absolutely.
Because, let me ask you this. See, here's the other thing. So when I'm growing up, all right, probably when you were, Bill,
I'm 65.
All right. Well, listen, kiddo. When we were growing up, we were stuck, for good or bad, in the parish where we lived.
Totally.
Now, in a way, that's a genius of Catholic life. Wherever you're at, you belong to a family. You belong to a parish.
Exactly.
But you didn't go out of that. In
That's
fact,
right.
you'd get into trouble if you did.
Absolutely.
Right? Because the neighboring pastors were saying, you get back where you belong.
Absolutely.
That's over.
That is changed.
Is that good? Now we have intentional parishes. Is that good or bad?
I think it's good.
Okay.
And here's why. Because one of our 4 findings was leadership. And what we found, just like your leadership here in New York City, Your Eminence, leadership is key. And people tend to go where the leadership is good.
All right.
And so I think it's a benefit to not discourage that.
Okay.
Now, having said that, for example, I mentioned St. Monica's. That's actually not in the town that we live in. It's the next town over. But
now, the Irish call those crossing the bridge, and you're not supposed to do that.
absolutely. I know. I get it. But I'll tell you a story. So when we first came to town, we're from New Jersey, we were looking for a Catholic church, and my wife was not Catholic. And so we tried a few. We tried the one in our town. We tried the one in the next town. And the pastor, Lloyd Torgerson, at St. Monica's, bonded with our whole family. After 15 years, my wife said, I want to convert, but I want you to know one thing. And I said, that's fantastic. What's the one thing? She said it had nothing to do with you.
You've told me she's always been good for your humility. She always has. But let me ask you this, though. I'm with you. I mean, when people make a decision for their faith, how could you do anything but praise it? But they're also, and of course, a good leader. This will be part of his leadership. To remind the people, folks, I'm flattered that you might find my leadership effective. You're not coming for me. You're coming for Jesus. And if I'm able to lead you to Jesus, hallelujah.
Absolutely.
But because the day is going to come when he's gone.
Totally.
And there's more to the parish than that, but leadership is so essential. So that's leadership.
That's
what are your
leadership.
other qualities? And leadership, I presume, even goes beyond the pastor. I mean, the staff, the assistants, your pastoral leaders, heads of organizations.
Absolutely. So if we talk about these 49 findings under 4 themes, first is leadership. We actually have 13 findings about leadership.
Okay.
And you know what the principal finding of those 13 is? It's shared leadership.
Okay.
So the pastor now shares leadership with lay people in various areas like administration, nuts and bolts of accounting,
liturgy,
finance. Catechesis, and music.
There you go.
St. Monica's has 120 ministries. Lay people run 100 of them. St. Monica's, as an example, has grown over 25 years from 2,000 families to 11,000 families.
Let me ask the most important question then.
Sure.
What's the Sunday collection? No, what's number 2? After leadership, what's the next?
Monsignor Torgerson, it's in the book, actually.
Because the money will follow effective parishes. If you got an effective parish, you're not going to money trouble. What's number 2?
Number 2 is the Sunday experience.
Sunday Mass.
Sunday Mass. But the principal finding of the 12 findings under the Sunday experience is it does not begin on Sunday. It begins on Monday. It begins,
like it does for us with a sermon. Yeah.
It begins on Monday with small groups, Alpha. A lot of parishes are doing Alpha amongst our vibrant group of 244. It begins online. It begins in social media, an area that, for me, Your Eminence, my kids are dragging me into the modern age. But these great parishes are very good with social media. So during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they're in touch with their parishioners. It's been said that the larger that a church gets, the smaller it has to get. So
I've heard that.
So these large parishes,
Mega parishes can be a disadvantage if they remain mega.
totally.
Yeah.
So they got to have these small groups.
Because the neighborhood parish was ideal, wasn't
It was
it? Where
totally
you knew
ideal.
everybody.
Where you knew everybody.
But now we don't have the geographic cohesion. We count on the parish to give us the cohesion that we long for.
Absolutely.
So that's Sunday Mass.
So that's Sunday Mass.
And part of that is going to be preaching and music and
Oh, yeah.
welcome and all that. Yeah.
Once you get inside the church, it's preaching and music that people are influenced by.
So I hear.
Now, obviously, the core is the
There's
Eucharist.
the Holy Jesus.
You know,
really,
source and
truly
the
present.
summit.
You got it.
Absolutely. That is the core of the whole thing.
Yeah, but the other stuff leads us there.
Totally.
The means to the end.
And when you drive in my years, I'm one of 7. And we would drive in the station wagon, and we'd usually the kids would be yelling at each other, and our parents would be saying, "Stop it."
Yeah.
You know, or maybe other things.
What? Quit arguing. We got to be nice to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the Sunday experience now at a lot of these parishes starts when you pull into the parking lot where people meet you and they're welcoming. So there's a welcoming culture.
Wow.
And then after Mass, there's something going on.
My favorites, coffee and donuts.
Coffee and
that's right,
donuts.
yeah.
I love the donuts.
There you go.
Now, they're not as good out in California, I have to tell you, as they are out here.
Thank you.
Similar with the pizza.
There you
Sometimes they have pizza in the courtyard.
Wow.
Not as
You gotta
good.
Go to St. Monica's.
If we had elected you,
Yeah,
I mean, it would
exactly.
change some things.
I know. That
That's
would have
better
been.
bagels out
The
there.
third one, Bill, I'm forgetting what the third
Don't worry.
one.
Third one is spiritual formation and
Alrighty.
discipleship. So we have, 13 findings under that theme. Let me just give you one or two big ones. The first big one is that engagement in all traditions, not just the Catholic tradition, is very low. So Matthew Kelly, we talked about, he is estimated it's about 7% of people that go to parishes are really engaged in the life of the parish. There are a lot of tools to measure engagement. What we found in our 244, the average level of engagement was 30%. The national level is about 18%.
Wow.
If you use one particular tool that was promulgated by the Gallup group. It's called Strength Finders. And there's a survey called an ME25 that now over 800 parishes all over the country have done. So they've got great data on engagement. So when we talk about spiritual formation, there's plenty of room for improvement. In my investment business, I often talk about the chance to double. And if something's starting out at 10, to get it to 20, maybe that's not so hard. To go from 40 to 80, that's a heavy lift. So I think about spiritual engagement and discipleship as one of the incredible opportunities for parishes all over the country. It's one of the principal reasons I wrote the book. Because these vibrant parishes, even if they average 30%, no reason they can't get to 50%. And there's lots of tools to do that. And we share all the tools in this book, Great Catholic Parishes.
We're
So
going to
that's
do the last one fairly quickly.
done. Evangelization. I think historically,
Sharing what you're doing with others.
you got it.
Like you're doing right now.
Like what I'm doing right now.
Actually, this answers my first question when I said to Bill, why do we have this welcome flurry of books? It's, I think, because of the emphasis that Pope St. John Paul II gave to the new evangelization. Every Catholic sort of said, well, I wonder what I need to do to perk up my own life and to attract others to Jesus and his church. This shows you how to do it, folks. Bill Simon, Great Catholic Parishes. St. Patrick's Cathedral would be one of them.
You got your evidence.
You come back, my friend.
We're coming
All right,
back.
You're on. Way
Thank
to go,
you.
Bill.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Eminence.
your evangelization.